I love it because you have the view right at there in Lahaina. That's actually the highest. You call it the castle, don't you? It's your castle.
It's been called that. I'm now realizing that it has the name attached to it. Yeah, I didn't actually invent that.
Well, we're going to be joining you in your living room at the Mac tomorrow.
I think I need to turn round.
Okay, yeah, let's bring it. Let's some musical chairs. We don't want to get your neck bent out of shape. No. Yeah, it's. I was talking to Jonathan. We were checking in on what's going on.
There you go.
And of course, it is Fat Tuesday. Hi.
Yes.
It's Fat Tuesday, so this is the big party tonight. It's going to be happening at Fleetwood. So everyone's got to get out there and party tonight because tomorrow we got to figure out what we're going to give up. But what would you give up for Lent? What would be the thing you'd give up, Mick?
I would give up Sweet Tooth.
Oh, I can't do that. I've tried.
I know.
And then I feel guilty. I keep trying.
That's I only say that because I'm in so-called training to go We start a tour with Fleetwood Mac in April, and so I'm off to the races, so to speak. So yeah, Sweet Tooth. I know that I'm going to have to do it anyhow. So I'm psyching myself up hopelessly. Yeah, right.
That's a hard one for me too. I was in Los Angeles right before Christmas, and I'm listening to one of the radio stations there, and on comes an ad for Fleetwood Mac, and I'm listening, thinking, well, it's going to be maybe we can see Fleetwood Mac in L.A. while we're here in December, and it's like, tickets go on sale. Get them soon. It's going to be sold out. And I think it was for May, and they were selling tickets back in December.
I know. It's been no doubt blessed, and it's exciting, which is great to be back on the road and doing that thing. And somewhat, I won't say unbelievably, but we're always, blessed with having a lovely audience that does seemingly come out and see us, but you never quite know. You go away for 3-4 years and you go, do they still come back? And this time it's gone totally ballistic. So we are thanking the angels and all of that. So we will be extra attentive to putting on a great show. We always put a lot of work into our show, but it's really gratifying knowing that for any people like to be liked. All of us do in whatever we do. And
I think you're more than liked. I think many people love what you do, and the part that I love is that tomorrow night you're going to be doing something I haven't really ever seen any other performer of your status do. Is you're going to actually be at the Mac one-on-one. You're going to actually kind of you're creating like a living room. And you're going to be really asking people now. If I heard
very
correctly,
vulnerable.
When people, yes, and
what have I done?
There's like going to be no glass wall or bulletproof wall in front of you. You're going to be asking people as they come in to write down questions. Is that correct? Are they going to?
Yeah, I'm certainly hoping that there'll be that. Otherwise, that whole section of the show will be a little lackluster. But it's something Art actually who runs the cultural centre there. And he's been wanting to do this. I don't know whether he's done it with some other people or not. I'm not quite sure. I think he has.
Maybe Hawaiian artists, I think.
In the small, the real small.
McCoy, right.
Yeah. And so we've been toying around with that idea. And it just occurred to me, I wanted it to be some musical aspect to it. And I'm a percussionist, so I don't sing the songs. I've been around them and made them and all of that stuff, and had obviously the lovely career with Fleetwood Mac, and been ostensibly sort of someone in the background but in the foreground of the survival of Fleetwood Mac. So I can speak to that. And having Rick Vito, who played with me for several years in Fleetwood Mac on Island, we were doing the show, and I thought, well, now I can add the musical component. So Rick Vito is going to be I'm going to do a little talking at the beginning and then bring Rick on, and we're going to hopefully segue into just the creative process of how some of the things were sort of put together and how he felt and I felt as young musicians, etc., etc. So we hope it's interesting.
Well, I've had Rick in the studio here. He's a great guitar player, very
Brilliant
humble guy.
Yeah.
And I guess it kind of goes back to the fact that I love blues. You love blues. You started, and I think you had that connection with John Mayall. Your roots really were blues when you began, right?
Oh yeah, pretty much almost immediately, and a lot of the bands, like the sort of the early Yardbirds, Rolling Stone thing that was going on ostensibly in London, and there was a whole another section which was all these crazy bands in Liverpool who were singing harmonies and stuff that we weren't doing down in the smoke, so to speak. So it was an interesting time, and we blundered into the blues and really took the Chuck Berry route, and then the early blues players. And so that's my history, and that's Rick's history, and that's what we're featuring at the show on Wednesday. And then Rick and I, from time to time, play on the island, sometimes private corporate things. But we get to do stuff at Fleetwood's on Front Street. We played there not so long ago.
And I heard Steven Tyler's popped in a couple of times this week.
Oh yeah,
Fleetwood's and
young Steven, a dear friend, and
you must love that you call him young. I'm sorry,
well,
I would love to call him.
He's eternally young.
Eternally young.
I'm put to shame.
Actually, people can't see you. I have to take a picture because you look great.
Oh, good.
You look fabulous.
We're alive, us old rock and rollers.
No, you look fabulous.
I
really.
call him the youngster. There's really not much age difference between us, but he astounds me because just alone physically he's really hung in there, and he performs at such a high rate, octane, in terms of just the physical stuff that he does. Forget about the fact that he has a brilliant voice, and so he's a joy to be, and he's coming down, and he's going to sit in at the show. And
I heard possibly there might be some other people on island that might be showing up.
There is. There's one very special lady who's turning up.
Yes, I'm not going to let the cat out of the bag, but she...
Tickets are sold out anyhow. So.
Well, it is sold out, except Jonathan will kill me if I don't get this out
We
there.
have some charity tickets.
You have some charity tickets at the kiosk, at Fleetwood's. What's happening is I guess a lot of people are calling Fleetwood's, and the lines are jammed because this has only been out like a week and it's sold out. But the charity tickets will help with a special fundraiser to help benefit the Mac Education Fund. And you can get those at the kiosk at Fleetwood's on Front Street. And if you want a special thing, and I'll tell you, a lot of people like the special thing. You work all your life and you deserve the special thing, don't you, Mick? And then you can do the meet and greet. There are not a lot, only a handful of meet and greet tickets that are $300. And then people will be able to come and hang out with you and do a meet and greet with you after the show.
I got a feeling those might be goners, but
are they gone already?
Maybe not. I'm not, cause
there were like 30 or 40 an hour ago, I think. But I
cool.
may be wrong. They're flying out the door, I guess, or out the kiosk in that case. But this is something so big. What happens is here on Maui, we're blessed to have people like you. And I think that people like you've been on Maui and had a home here, about 15 years?
Actively a little over 10, but I've been coming here since 74.
And is it the weather, the magic, the energy, the vibe, what is it
all
about
of the
Maui?
above.
Yeah.
I fell in love with the place. I was one of those guys that just immediately, I remember landing here and I feel it at home. And that doesn't always happen and stuff. The only other place that ever happened to me was in Southern Ireland when I first went to, which meant Ireland.
Which part, which city? Because I'm going to
Dublin.
go. Dublin,
right, yeah.
Okay.
And I had a very, not as profound a feeling where I just felt that I belonged. My father came from Ireland anyhow, but that really wasn't anything to do with it. It was the dreamy sense and the people and the vibration of the whole deal. And this was just a much bigger version of that, and I always remember it, and I sort of felt that I'd come home, and then years and years later, all the crazy rock and roll life that we've done, and a fantastic career, which is continuing, that this is my home, for real. I'm not just passing through, and I have no imaging or vision of it ever not being my home. So when we built out Fleetwood's on Front Street, one, we were aspiring to run a proper business and all the stuff that it's a risky business to be in.
An expensive one.
Yeah. But behind all that, there's a sense of community for sure if you survive a situation like that. And we have a music and entertainment component, which selfishly is great for me, where there's a sense of performance. I like and love being around people. So as the years tick away, that's something that for me is going to be just a lovely thing, to always have something to worry about, always have something to do. And then we've really done already quite a few decent things that are attached to community, and we do try to do that, and run a business at the same time. And
you said
it's all a
something
good thing.
beautiful. I just learned something in that last sentence, and I have to jump in. I didn't mean to cut you off, but I forget things.
No, really.
What you said something to worry about, and I have always kind of thought that you try to stop from worrying, but the way you said it was almost like the way you want something to worry about is something like taking care of a child, or you worry about something you love, and all of a sudden it just twisted that, like, yeah, worry isn't necessarily a bad thing.
No, it can be, of course, but in good humor, that obviously that's... I like being attached to things, and having spent really my whole life since I was 15 playing and having all of that musical dream part of my life completely fulfilled. That's what I wanted to do. It happened. I have no complaints at all with some of the ups and downs and the crazy lifestyle and all that stuff. Behind it is I've done what I wanted to do, and this gives me a sense of being connected. And you also, having done that, you're basically, we don't look at it, Fleetwood Mac and people such as Rick and so forth, we look at it as we're doing what we dreamt of doing musically. Whether we were famous or not, I think we'd all be still doing this, I really do. That's all I could do. And we were blessed, obviously, to have huge amounts of success and continue having that. Now, having said that, that little being, the Mick part of that, it's not a surprise that you're sort of addicted to needing a little bit of that, where, believe it or not, and I think if you've watched any TV programs about restaurants, there's a sense of performance in it, for sure. Mm-hmm. There's a sense of full-on drama.
Is it Downton Abbey on Front Street?
That's one. Basically, of course. So life is never boring.
No. A little bit of a soap opera.
And a total soap opera, and awful things that can come and go and happen, like running a rock and roll band. So it's very applicable. But behind it all, we put on and put a lot of effort into putting on, basically, taking care of people. Mm-hmm. Performers go out and say, you know what, put your troubles in a kiddie bag, get on that stage, and do what, one, you've been paid to do, and do what you know how to do. And that's very similar to a lot of the sensibilities of life at Fleetwood's on Front Street in Lahaina. So there you go.
I followed your career a long time. I did an interview with you way back when at K-West. I think I was trying to remember how many years ago, about 32 years ago. We had up on the top of the glass elevator building there in Sunset. We did a radio station with John was the general manager then. And you know what? I've always realized that you have this amazing base of spirit that comes through you. And, of course, it comes through in your playing. But I have a spiritual background. I've always wondered how you have taken all the spiritual energy and really brought it in to be able to deal with the drama, with the music, with what you're doing, and channel that spiritual energy into almost like a soupy-like everyday holding that presence with you in the now. And it's got to be really challenging at times, but I kind of wondered where that spiritual influence began for you and how you foster it and how it feeds you and you feed it.
Well, I think, in truth, I don't think a lot about it, and I'm flattered that sensibility is even being spoken about in the context of me and all that stuff. But like I mentioned when we first started the interview, I don't really know what that first section of the show what will transpire, and sort of on the mark to set yourself up to be vulnerable, which I sort of think is good, you know. So it's partly, I think, that you're maybe seeing, that I think being vulnerable is a good thing, and it keeps you in good humor about not applauding yourself, but not believing that we're all special, but you don't want to start thinking that you're really untouchable and all that nonsense, which is partly why I like being around people. And we've been, as a band, say Fleetwood Mac, and certainly a lot of people that I tend to know are people that are still, whether they're famous or wealthy, or it doesn't, as we know, it doesn't matter. What matters is that you feel something, the good and the bad, and I'm still learning to do that. So I think really my, quote, spirited side comes from being vulnerable and feeling the need, maybe overly, to resonate with other people.
You know, that's
an
a
insecurity
gift.
of sorts, probably.
An insecurity?
You know. I'm sure, you know.
Really? Because you seem so confident.
Well, I am in many ways, but I have a part. I'm only talking about it now, like being on the bench and sort of analyzing yourself or whatever. I think it probably is because there's underlying. We all have insecurities, and they're hidden and stuff, and I'm not aware of it, but I would probably think it stems from that. Sometimes I think I don't really know specifically what I'm doing. Mm-hmm. I just sort of do it.
I saw you at the Mark Ellman practice Aloha book signing, and I had the CD practicing Aloha, and I can't tell you the impact that because I've been in the music business on the other side, not being able to play, but playing the music.
Right.
And you don't know how rare, I mean, from my experience, that you came down, you just didn't make an appearance. You stayed there. You stayed there over an hour. You talked to everyone. You signed books. You were vulnerable. It impressed me so much that you were there, and truly, you weren't doing it for anything for yourself. You were there to help Mark, and it was really impressive. And again, just to be able tomorrow night to be able to see that, or for people to go to Fleetwood's and you pop in and you're there. It's a beautiful thing because it is rare. I mean, really is of a lot of the people I know. The Blue Max days, you'd be able to pop in and things would happen.
Well, I like that.
But you've created a magic.
Well, I hope that I take that superly as a compliment, and that's totally what all the boys and girls that work there, we try to remind them and about what it is, and we've been up and running, I think, for about 5 months now, and it's really starting to show and resonate with, because it's a bit panicky at the beginning of or it has been, to tell you the truth. If I'd had hair, it would have all certainly dropped out by now. I've got a few strands left, yeah, and the restaurant will probably finish me off, but truly, in good spirit, it has now a real life of its own, and it is almost a being, and I think I'm hoping, and I really feel that it's being welcomed on the island here, and that is what I'm looking for to translate. And once we really get a little bit of wear and tear and put our roots in as a business and as an entity, at that point I'm really excited about some of the things that we can pay more attention to, that are
which would be
community driven stuff, really taking an interest and having it be I mean, the gentleman was sitting here before,
Greg Kaufman.
Yeah, it's stuff the efforts where people are really focused, that do beautiful, lovely things. That to be part of that is something that when you are stable and you've got your legs, your sea legs, and you can go, okay, we need to be doing more of that, and that's an interest at management at the restaurant, and that's really an important part. Yes, we're running a business, but you can translate some of that to do really cool things and have a place such as Fleetwood's and loads of Mark, for instance, at Marla and all the lovely restaurants he's had through the years. He does a lot. And
he does.
It's often done very quietly.
Yes.
You know, our version of it is probably a little bit
well,
more
you have
bombastic.
that free stuff on the roof, which is awesome, like
Every
the whale
night,
watches
yeah.
and the
It's all free.
bagpipers. And
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
and you can just go up there, and that's unusual that you could have that.
It is, but the great thing about that is, which is the point I'm trying to get to, is that Fleetwood's can be a stage for that, where you can offer up moments in real time.
Yes.
Because it is a lovely place and it's positioned so beautifully, and things like the music every night, the invocation and stuff we do pretty much every day, and the live music is all free most nights on the roof. So that's what I like to be able to do. So there's an element of something that grows and offers itself up as a stage for sometimes we don't know quite what.
Well, the Robert
But
Burns
that's the
birthday
fun.
celebration was amazing. I was there for the Robert Burns birthday celebration. I'd never seen anything like it. The bagpipers and they made that special thing from intestines.
Haggis?
The haggis. It smelled so bad. The haggis, and all the people were drinking the whiskey, and it was memorable, definitely memorable. That was a moment. And you're going to have Valentine's Day with the Kit Kat. Now, you like these girls in the Kit Kat Club.
Love the Kit
You
Kat
love the Kit
girls.
Kat Club Cabaret for Valentine's Day. And that one, folks, if you're going to go, you should call right away to 669-MIC. That's not his cell phone, but 669-MIC is 669-6425, because Valentine's Day just is a couple days away, and you really want to be there for that. And I want to say also the food is excellent.
Thank you.
There's a chocolate cake. If you're going to go for Valentine's Day, you got to have, how many layers is that chocolate
I thought we
cake?
swore off the sugar here
Oh,
at
no,
the beginning
but
of the show.
but that chocolate cake is, you can't say no to that chocolate cake. It's like 8 layers, and it's like huge, and it's the most amazing. On Valentine's Day, you got to do it.
There you go.
But you got to do it.
Let your guard down, everyone.
Okay, what question would you like someone to ask you that you don't think they will ask you tomorrow?
Oh my goodness! Well, then
I know it's Zen-like.
Then it'll be over, right? I have really. That's an interesting one. Putting me on the spot now. Anything to do with how one actually tries to remember what started the process of someone wanting to do something. You go like, where was that? Why? How come you were a drummer? What? Who said something? Who did someone who encourage you? Were you not encouraged so that you said, basically, shove off and I'll show you I can do it? You never quite know, and that's always an interesting one for me.
I heard from Alex Dimachowski years ago, the bass player, that you had a black Sufi style.
Demachowski.
Yes, I knew him for years. In L.A., I worked in L.A.
Wow,
Remember
great
him?
bass
Is he
player.
still alive?
I truly
I don't know.
know.
Yeah,
he made
great.
furniture and stuff.
He was amazing.
He was a Renaissance creature.
Yes,
Crazy.
another one of those soap operas.
Yeah.
But he said you had a wonderful black Sufi, I think it was black, a Sufi teacher that taught you the talking drum, and that a long time ago in England was the talking.
Well, I don't know, but I remember Speedy was his name, I think.
Speedy was his name.
Speedy was his
Speedy
name.
Sufi.
But and
Sufi
he
Speedy.
taught me a whole load of stuff. He used to play percussion with Georgie Fame and the Blue Flames.
Really?
And the guy who made it, I truly don't remember his name, and that's what Alex is remembering, was a special dude, a Nigerian chap.
That's it.
Didn't actually teach me. He made that it's a not a classic. It's a rock and roll version of a talking drum, you know.
But you did. I've seen you do, and you use that talking drum does talk.
It basically, yeah. Harder you squeeze, the higher the note.
You know, do you feel that there is a heartbeat to the planet? And when you're drumming, do you actually kind of get in tune with a certain universal rhythm of the energy of this planet?
Well, I don't translate it like that, but I definitely like to be in what I consider as a zone, you know, and I enjoy really not knowing what is happening until it's like over. And I find that I play better, you know, when I'm there and I manage to relax and just let go and be just, you know, this person that happens to be playing drums, you know. I don't really often look at myself as a musician. I look at myself really as just a chap that plays drums and then found out how incredible it is to I don't sit there and write songs and stuff, so that part of my brain isn't very active. But physical attention, being part of a process, being in a support system, really, which is a rhythm section, is hugely fantastic for me.
In a way, driving a machine, right?
Well, ostensibly, but also following, because your duty is about listening to be dynamic and yet be strong enough to hold the thing down, but also getting your huge amounts of inspiration with all the, I mean, think of all the lovely people I've had so much joy playing with in Fleetwood Mac.
Yeah.
Too many to mention, and that's going to be starting up again in April. That fascinates me and gives me a hell. It's really, really important, not to diminish what I do, but that's how I get my mystery. That's how I get my massive dose of passion, is being around lovely things that happen. I sort of like to try and make things and help things happen.
You're an instigator.
Well, and that gets back to the thing of that I need that.
Yeah.
That there's a selfish motive in there too, that I need that, and at all costs I want to be around that. So
isn't that beautiful? I mean, I really, of all the things you said, I think that really has made an impression on me. That is so lovely that you need that, and that is what helps drive this whole thing that's going on with Fleetwoods and tomorrow night but I mean it's I had never really thought that someone could need something and help beautiful things happen from that.
Well, I think it happens to a lot of people, and I've had to as a person, I sometimes don't really, when I said earlier on, I don't really know what I do. Now I sort of do, and what it is what I've just explained. And
we're going to be losing this live broadcast in a second. I really don't. I wonder if I can ask the boss if we could just drop the news and everything else. Oh, but you know what?
Don't drop the news.
Well, you know, we got the State of the Union we're going to
broadcast.
Well,
I'm rambling on anyhow.
No, but I really would like to continue. But I'm just saying that in case we do get cut
snipped.
In case we get snipped. I'm sorry. We do that to dogs, not to Mick Fleetwood. But
well, maybe. No more children.
How many do you have?
I have 4 lovely girls.
4 girls.
2 grown-up, very grown-up girls.
Oh, it really is a Downton Abbey.
Gorgeous 11-year-old, nearly 11-year-old twins.
What was that?
I don't know.
That was our
it's a signal.
It was our
signal to destroy us.
So 669 Mick. They can go to the kiosk, possibly, but, you know, they might want to call, and there might be a few tickets left for the meet and greet. And you know what? They can just go to Fleetwood's. You're there. And
I'm there tonight for sure. I better hightail it out of here.
For Fat Tuesday, yeah.
And I'm playing with King Paris tonight.
I love him. Say hi to him for me.
Secret character, our alter egos.
Yes.
The mystery of King Paris and the Hypnotics.
Well, it's such a treat. Thank you for taking the time.
Love you.